Yeah.
Okay, let's get back to Ethereum and that whole Sims angle. So Vitalik figured that Web3 is the future. Decentralization is the future. Let me give all these engineers all over our earth the ability to build uh, further applications on the internet using these raw materials which I will provide. But in order to use these raw materials, those engineers have to buy my token called ETH.
Right.
Correct explanation?
Yes. So, in Ethereum and on Solana, very similar purpose for the native token. When I say native token, I mean as Bitcoin is the token for the Bitcoin network, Bitcoin is the token for the Bitcoin ledger. ETH is the token for the Ethereum network, and Sol is the token for the Solana network. So why do you have these? Email, you get spam, right? Everybody gets spam because it's free. In crypto protocols, it was decided very early on that it would not be good if everyone could just spam these things. There's so many ways that you can bring it down. You can corrupt it. You can. There are many attack vectors if it's just free. You need to be able to pay it somehow. But remember, there's no central company that that you pay. Who do you wire the money to, right? So instead, you can think of tokens as credits to be able to access and use the products and services on these networks, and to pay the network for its usage, which then limits spam. So Anatoly, who designed Solana, often says that tokens are just spam resistance, right? So in Ethereum, you use the ETH token to pay gas. Earlier, we talked about a borrow-lend protocol. If we created a transaction for me to lend money to you through that protocol, we would also have to include some ETH, right? That's how we would pay our fee for using the Ethereum network.
Right.
That would then go back and pay validators. And that's where
That's what gas is?
That's what gas is, yeah. But it's denominated in ETH, right?
Gotcha.
Yeah. And on Solana, it's the same thing. We have transaction fees, but they're about 1/10,000th of the Ethereum fees. It's much, much cheaper. It's almost free, but they still exist, and they're denominated in Sol.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Firstly, I want to congratulate you, man. Like, people speak very highly of everything that Solana is doing. At any tech conference that I go to, Solana is always brought up. Because you're Indian, you come up in a lot of Indian tech circles as well. It's just brown boy pride. But when did Vitalik launch Ethereum?
I think that was in 2014.
Okay.
Yeah, Bitcoin was 2009. Ethereum was 2014. We launched Solana in 2020. So it's only been 4 years.
Okay. So you figured between 2014 and 2020 that Ethereum's great. It's great for the overall cryptocurrency ecosystem. But the inherent problems are that the applications built upon the Ethereum protocols may be slightly slower and the gas fees might be high.
It was very slow and it was very expensive. So
Gotcha.
for those transactions to settle on Ethereum, at the time, it was taking tens of minutes.
Right.
And it was costing dozens of dollars for one transaction. So, back to what we, said earlier, people don't care if it doesn't work for them, if it's not going to be usable, they don't care about the ethos and the vision and the dream and and what's coming in the future. They stop using it. They just don't. What they say is what so many Indians have said. I'll check back in 5 years. Maybe it'll be ready then, right? So we saw a lot of people trying crypto, trying Ethereum, and having a bad experience. It was slow, it was expensive, and it was worse than the centralized versions, right? It's if it costs us, $30 to send money to each other, that's worse than Venmo or whatever, payments apps you might use, because those are free or close to free. So what we did with Solana at the time, scalability and cost and latency were the biggest problems in crypto. Everybody knew that they needed to be solved. it's going to be hard to not get technical, but but the whole industry was focused on a technique for scaling that's called sharding, which means sharding with a D.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So the idea in sharding is that you can split the network up into many networks that all just talk to each other, right?
Gotcha.
And so that's the path that Ethereum has taken to scaling, which is there are now these things called L2s, which are like little new copies of Ethereum that all work with Ethereum, the original, and you can go pick which one to use. And then
It's like a country dividing its geography within states and giving power to state governments.
Right. The problem that we saw with that design would be, well, which state should I use? Because this is not territory. It's not based on where I live. Should it be based on the logo, the color, should it be based on use cases? Do we do all of our borrowing and lending in one state and all of our payments in another state? How are we going to avoid a problem where too many people are in one state and it gets slow again and it gets expensive again, right? There was no reliable way to avoid the same problems that were existing on the first network. So what we said is we have to scale one network, and it has to be fast and cheap and non-sharded, not non-divided. There are many ways to say it, but we use the word single global state machine. It's one set of state. It's not divided. Why this is beneficial is as a developer, there's one network that you build on. If you have an account, you're not asking which state am I in. There's one network. There's one state. If there's a borrowing and lending protocol, it happens in that one state. All of it's happening in that one state. And so the more borrowing and lending you have, the more efficient of a market you have, right? Because there's many more bids, many more asks, many more borrowers, many more lenders to compare against. So the pricing gets very, very tight and efficient. That was really important. The same is true of something like payments. You don't want to have a payments app where I have to ask what state you're in before I can send you. I just want to know that your address is in my state, right?
Right.
So these principles were ones that we said we will not deviate from them, and we'll find the way to make this a performant, fast, cheap network. And I think it's a whole other podcast to describe like how we did it and what principles got us there. But I can just say this, that in 2019, the last time I came here to Singapore, nobody believed us. And we were running out of money in the multiple year effort to build this system the way that we had described it. And we needed money to give ourselves multiple shots on goal to actually launch successfully. And we told everyone in the industry what we were doing, what we were building, the progress we'd made. And we were just a few months away from launch, and we just needed a few $1 million. Not to get there, but to be confident that we would have enough afterward to just follow through. And we got $0. The last time I was here in Singapore 5 years ago, I probably had 200 meetings and got $0. Nobody believed it would work. And if it did work, nobody believed that we could eat into Ethereum's market share because it was so strong. They had 100% of the market. Everybody used Ethereum, and it was.
And you're targeting the same customers from a software development standpoint.
At the time, yes, but now new developers come from many walks of life, and and I talk to builders all the time that tell me they wouldn't be building in crypto if it weren't for Solana, which means to say they didn't decide, oh, let me go build on Bitcoin or Ethereum, or let me go build in crypto, and then they got sold onto Solana, which means we're competing. It means they see what is now possible with Solana being so fast and cheap, kind of like broadband internet, right? There were some people that probably had the idea for YouTube and video streaming, but when dial-up was the internet that everybody had, and it was, 56K, it would take, 30 hours to get a 10-minute video downloaded. It just never made sense. When broadband rolled out, it made sense. You could have instant streaming and instant buffering, right? And so this whole, new wave of companies got built based on that unlock. That's what we see with Solana right now.
Gotcha. And everything that we spoke about Ethereum, where Vitalik's mind created the tools for other developers to develop Web3 based softwares. The basic skeleton is the same, but the product is more efficient, quicker, way cheaper.
Yep. Far faster and cheaper and more scalable than Ethereum. So just to put context around that, Ethereum, the original network, right? Not the many states built on top of it, but the original state. And Bitcoin is in this category too. Bitcoin can do about 7 transactions per second globally. That's it. If it's more than that, then the fees will go up or it'll get slower. With Ethereum, it's about 14 transactions per second globally. If it's more than that, fees go up, the gas goes up, or it gets slower. Solana has been, we've seen it with real transactions from real users hitting 10,000 transactions per second.
Gotcha.
And it's capable of much more than that. Way, way faster and cheaper.
Got it. Again, on a primal level, I look at software development like sculpting. And the more skilled you are as a sculptor, the better your sculptures will be. The more skilled you are as a software developer or as a collective unit, the more fine-tuned, more efficient your software will be. So you guys, as the co-founders of Solana, have been able to sculpt something very efficient. It's a good quality product. And for a developer to be able to use Solana's raw materials to build their own applications, they have to buy into Solana through the tokens. If you enjoyed today's clip, make sure you check out these curated playlists that we've made especially for you related to the subject that was spoken about in this clip.